We have to know that loss is an inevitable part of life. Just as sure as someone is born, we know someone is going to die. And we don't know when that time is. We don't know what circumstances it may be. And we don't know where or how it's going to happen. But one thing is for sure, we do all have an expiration date. Now, that's is not to make this sound morbid. It's just to know that are you prepared in this sense of you will be able to keep going on. You won't have to worry about shutting down or doing yourself harm to your mental and physical health because you can't get past that loss. And like I said, whether it's a job, whether it's your best friend, a loved one, whatever kind of loss it is that is devastating to our soul, to our mind, to our whole being, because we are suffering at that moment, how will you react moving forward? What will your actions be? And what's your timeline? Is there even a timeline? Let's talk. Now, when you talk about loss, people automatically think you're talking about death. Well, in a sense, it can be death because it can be the death of a relationship, the death of someone you know, so you are no longer going to live the life that you used to or that you are used to. But it could also mean just an ending to something that may or may not serve you anymore. It doesn't always have to be a physical death, it can be a spiritual, a mental, or just an all around presence. That familiarity or that thing that you were used to is no more. And now you have to figure out how to survive, how to live, and how to thrive without that part of your life anymore. What tactics or what coping mechanisms do you have in place to deal with that? Take, for instance, you had a best friend or a long-time friendship relationship with someone, and then all of a sudden it's over. All of a sudden you didn't read signs or you didn't see it coming and it just kind of abruptly ended. Or it could have went where you've seen signs and it just kind of fizzled out along the way. Either way, it's a loss and you have to deal with it. So what do you do? How do you handle a loss like that? How do you handle the ending of something? Now, sometimes we know it's easier to ignore it or pretend like it didn't happen or just go on about your life. But are we really going on? Are we just compartmentalizing because we don't want to deal with the inner feelings and we don't want to deal with what really happened and the part we played or the part another person played? But all we can deal with is whatever part we played. So it's important that we take the time to sit in those emotions and sit in those feelings so we can know exactly how to move forward. Will it be painful sometimes? Absolutely. Will it be something that we don't want to deal with because we're having to be honest with ourselves and see exactly how did I contribute to, especially if it was the loss of a relationship, but if it was like the loss of a job, then it's how did I contribute to that? Did I have a small part even in it? Even if you just got fired or if you got laid off or whatever. And I say that because I went through that. I got laid off after almost 10 years. And it was like, wait a minute, what just happened here? And the dying part was I went to work like the full day. The full day was at work. And then at the end of the day is when I was told. So yeah, but see, when I go back and I sit with that, and I've had years and years and years to dig deep into it now, and realize that I believe I was prepping myself to be out of there anyway. I had prepped my mind. I cleaned out some areas. I had did things along the way that were preparing me to be out of this situation or this position. Now, you may not have notice things or you may not have admitted them to yourself, but somewhere along the way, we prep ourselves for things that we're ready to move on from, but not quite taking the action. And in that case with me, I had prepped my mind and I had prepped like my area, but I didn't ever speak the words out loud, or I didn't really acknowledge that sometimes it's time to move on. And it starts showing up possibly in your actions. It starts showing up in your mental attitude. It just starts showing up in different ways in the effort you put forth. So I'm speaking from experience on that in that arena. Now, if it's a loss of a life of someone that you love, and you're never going to see them again. That is something totally different, but it is still something that has to be dealt with. It is in a way that has got to be healthy. It's got to be, I don't want to say energizing, but it has to give you motivation to be able to deal with it and then be able to move on. Now, will you ever forget that person? Absolutely not. You will not, because you were in some type of relationship with them, whether they were a family member or a close friend, whatever. You will never forget the relationship, but sometimes you will find those memories and the things fading out as you move along. Now, I am not trying to be a grief counselor or anything like that. I have none of those initials by my name. But what I'm saying is, death is going to hit us all, whether it's death of a person, a family member, friend, whatever, death of a relationship, death of a position, death of some sort. Is there's going to be an ending in life. There's going to be all kinds of endings that we're going to have to endure, and we have to learn how to cope and act accordingly. And I don't mean according to anybody else's timeline, anybody else's rules. You will have to figure out what it is that is going to serve you to be able to move on with your life. Moving on does not mean you're going to forget. Moving on is more so that you are going to have a new outlook for that person. You're going to have a new outlook for that position, a new outlook on what you went through with whatever that situation was. But the good thing is, the positive thing is, everywhere there's an ending, there's a new beginning. No matter what kind of beginning it is, it's something and a chance for you to do something, for you to put some action behind your thoughts, behind your mindset, behind whatever it is you want to do. This is your chance to take a step towards something, to make a move towards something, to believe in yourself that you can get past and you can thrive again. Every time we have an ending, there's a new beginning, there's a new chance. You can reinvent yourself, you can be who you want to be, you can pursue the things you want to do because you believe that I have another chance. And that's the way we have to look at the endings that we have in our life. Whether, again, it was a relationship or a family member or a death loss or a position or any, I mean, I don't care if your dog ran away, that's a loss. All losses count as pain to us. All losses make us feel that we are missing something that we were used to or that we loved and that we held on to. But once that loss is acknowledged, then that's your moment to say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do different? What am I going to do new? What am I going to do? You can answer that in the comments. What are you going to do that is going to be different from having that loss. And now you're going to find something new. So I am excited to hear what it is that you're going to be branching out into, the new that you are going to undertake and excel and thrive in, because you know that just as soon as we have a loss, there's a new beginning waiting. Thank you for joining Cobra King Conversations, and I hope to see you next time. If you haven't liked or subscribed or followed the channel, I would sure appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Cobra King Conversations. Let's talk.